Welcome back to our video series, Financial Peril or Prosperity, You Get to Choose. This video will explain when to hire a bookkeeper and an accountant. We also share what it costs to hire professionals for these two job positions. Adding these team members as employee staff members or as outsourced positions will be discussed also. First, let's address the very initial needs of launching and growing a business. These initial tasks will be performed by the bookkeeper and accountant. Hopefully, you've already hired the Stewardship Business Plan Store to write your business plan, and that process has led you to this video series. Now, you need to launch or grow your company. Having a proper accounting system with a financial dream team of your own is the task at hand. If you watched the previous segment, you know the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant. Most importantly at the moment is knowing that the bookkeeper operates from having source documents. Also, the bookkeeper tabulates the historical transactions of the company. Someone needs to set up the system which will track the financial activity of your company. That is the accountant. It is true that once the system is set up, a bookkeeper or accountant can enter the financial transactions, but it takes a knowledgeable accountant to create a proper system first. Typically, software programs such as QuickBooks, Sage, or FreshBooks are used. If you are really good with spreadsheets, you could use Microsoft Excel or a similar program, but you are probably best off with one of the accounting programs. If this is your first time into an entrepreneurial endeavor, you are probably not familiar with what a chart of accounts is. A chart of accounts is the accounting system set up to track all the financial transactions your company will undertake. This list creates the backbone to track all revenue the company earns, all expenses the company pays, all assets the company buys, such as supplies, equipment, vehicles, and real estate. A proper chart of accounts also makes it easy to see who owes you money, who you owe money to, balances of your checking accounts, balances and payments for loans, and literally any financial data you need to track for your company. A good accountant will help you determine what you should track, so don't worry if you are not sure. There are a set of detailed rules for how to properly account for your business activity. It is known as GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. Make sure you hire an accountant who understands GAAP and specializes in business. Not every accountant does. Some specialize in taxation, business valuation, government accounting, or dozens of other areas. Regarding the cost to establish your chart of accounts, it will depend on how complex your business needs are. The accountant should have a process to learn about your specific business and then set up the chart of accounts according to how your company will operate, the information you want to capture, and what business metrics you want to measure. Also ensure the accountant is aware of the need to enter any loans, create depreciation schedules, and other activities which a bookkeeper may not know. These details should come to light during the interview process the accountant will have with you. Again, if you're dealing with an accountant who specializes in business accounting, and let them know you need your system set up to properly capture all of your financial data, you should be okay. Many times, the cost to establish your chart of accounts will range from $500 to $2,500, although it could be higher if you have a complex business model. You could do this task yourself, but unless you are an accountant, I do not recommend it. Hire a pro to set it up, and then you can decide how deeply involved you want to be with entering the bookkeeping information on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. Once the chart of accounts is established, and presuming you are using an accounting software program, the basic data must be entered into the system. Basic data will include information for customers, vendors, bank accounts, credit cards, loans, employees, sales tax, and any historical transactions, and more. Most of this data can be entered Buy a bookkeeper since there is source documentation. If you need depreciation schedules set up or other complex aspects of your accounting system which do not have source documentation, the accountant will set it up when establishing your chart of accounts. Capturing the month-to-month financial activity of your company can be done entirely by you if you are knowledgeable in accounting and trained in how to use the software. More than likely, even if you do have the knowledge of how to do so, it's probably best for you to focus on CEO level activities and daily operations. Hiring a staff bookkeeper can often be done for between $18 and $25 an hour. Don't forget to add approximately 20% to the wage cost for the employer expenses related to employees. Initially, at least, you probably only need a part-time bookkeeper. If you outsource your bookkeeping, the cost could be as low as $35 an hour, although it is much more likely to be in the $45 to $95 an hour range. A significant advantage to outsourcing your bookkeeping is you do not need to have an employee staffing that position. Many outsourced bookkeepers and accountants will provide fixed pricing for tasks such as monthly journal entries, account reconciliation, and closing the books. So, when is it time to hire a staff bookkeeper or accountant? If you are outsourcing your bookkeeping and accounting tasks and you are paying at least 50% of a full-time employee's wages, it's time to consider hiring the staff position. To best know when to hire a full-time staff position, we recommend having the input of an HR professional. The HR professional will review job requirements and qualifications with you and set the compensation package recommendations. But again, when the total compensation of an outsourced professional reaches 50% of what a full-time salary would be, consider hiring a professional as a staff position. The next question is when to hire an accountant. Hiring an accountant will be important as your bookkeeping and accounting needs become more complex. The more complex tasks will include performing adjusting journal entries. Essentially, this is the process of fixing the mistakes of the bookkeeper or owner who entered the bookkeeping data. Given the amount of data which is entered into a bookkeeping system, this happens all too often but is easily corrected. The process of adjusting journal entries provides a system to make corrections as needed. Another task the accountant will attend to is entering the transactions which do not have source documents, as we mentioned earlier. Also, if anything is bought or sold which has a depreciation schedule associated with it, there will be some formulas which need to be set up. An in-depth knowledge of accounting and the company are required to attend to all these accounting tasks. At the end of every month, or perhaps every quarter, the books need to be reconciled and closed. This is the final review of the transactions. It is very important to ensure the data is correct before closing the books, as tax reporting requires it. Also, if you have investors, it is very important to accurately report the activities of the company. Just as with bookkeeping, the accounting can be outsourced and usually is in the early stages of a company. When companies have 50 employees or less, it is pretty rare to have a staff accountant. With 50 to 100 employees, some companies will. Once the staff count is over 100 employees, it becomes more common. The first financial team member hired for a company may be a person who is a full-fledged accountant and is willing to attend to all of the bookkeeping needs. A staff accountant is likely to be paid $25 to $45 per hour and receive benefits. The compensation package will vary considerably depending on the accountant's education, credentials, experience, technical knowledge, communication skills, and other attributes. The pay range also varies considerably from area to area. Once again, an HR professional can prove extremely helpful in determining a compensation package and facilitating the hiring process. By the time the salary, benefits, and employer matching costs are added up, The total cost of the company is likely to be in the range of $75,000 to $145,000. You can see with this type of total cost to a company, many startups and companies with less than 50 employees choose to outsource the position. When you outsource your accounting needs, the first month or two is often at an hourly rate. It will take a month or two for the new accountant to dive deep enough into your business to know what tasks are required. Once they are familiar with your company and accounting system, they will often provide a fixed rate per month. The hourly rate is likely to be $75 to $125 an hour. It is true that when you outsource a job position, the hourly rate of the subcontractor is typically higher than the hourly rate of an employee, as much as double. The reason so many companies do this is that you are able to get an expert and only pay for the hours your company actually needs. Overall, this frequently results in a lower cost to the company than hiring an employee. The next segment in this series discusses the controller job position. If this segment was helpful, please hit the thumbs up or leave a comment. Thank you, and see you again soon.